Hey everyone, this is Rachel and welcome to another scrapbooking process video. If you hang out until after the video is through, there are always detailed shots of my current layout. Let's get going! Hey everyone, so welcome to another episode of Product Placement, my series with Kelly Oblak. Today, Kelly and I are going to be working with stamps, both of which, a couple months ago, we did sequins, and after that, we're like, okay, we're never doing sequins again. And this is kind of like on par with that. I think I use stamps a little bit more than Kelly, but they're the ones, other than sequins, it's the other one that are going, oh, this is going to be a little rough. Zandy, oh my gosh. I had my eyes closed while I was doing that, and she just popped right up. Come on, over here, baby. Come on, right in the box. In the box. Come on, you can do it. Scoot, scoot. Scoot, scoot. Thank you. Sorry, she popped up there unexpectedly. All right, so if you can't tell, I've got a bit of a cold. I'm going to try to power through. And so as I was saying, we are going to be working with stamps. I've got some title stamps. I've got new stamps that I got from the Ink Road. It is a LGBTQ themed stamp set, so I'm going to be using it for one photo I have of my nephew when he got his letter about his name change. For those of you who don't know, my nephew is transgender, and that's all I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to be using a little bit of One Canoe 2 Hazelwood line. It's a couple years old, 2016. I looked it up, not like crazy memory of that. And the reason I chose this is actually going to be a companion page to another page I'm going to do of the actual court appearance, but I don't have all those photos yet because my housemate actually took a couple of them. And so the reason I wanted to do that is I wanted to use this paper because it has the colors I'm looking for. So I'm going to use this paper for the page that's going to appear on the right hand side. And yeah, I totally did have to make an L to tell left from right. So I'm going to put that aside because I don't want to accidentally use that. So on the left hand side, and it's not going to be a double page layout because I'm going to be talking about two separate stories for it. So they're just going to be companion pages. So sometimes I do single pages where the left side and the right side mean nothing to each other. Sometimes I do companion pages where the left side and the right side are from the same event or the same day or they're related. So I'll try to use similar lines or the same line, in which case they're not together, but they are they're telling different stories, but they're from the same event. And then there's when I'll do a double page layout, and that's when it's actually one event or one story, and I have a lot of photos, so I'll do a double page layout. Okay, so I'm using Hazelwood. I've got a bunch of stamps. Oh, these aren't meant to be in there. That's a stencil, not a stamp. So I wanted to use the same line to indicate that they are related, but yeah, it's going to be a completely different layout. I am going to make sure to use, get down, you dork. Down, thank you. I am going to make sure to use non-textured white cardstock because I am going to be using stamps as they are my product focus. So I don't want to not have the ability to use those at all. All right, folks, I am going to get you guys I am going to go ahead and get you guys put on fast forward. Make sure you head on over to Kelly's channel and check out her video. I will place a link to her video in the description box below, and I will catch you in a second. Let's get going. Okay, point in fact, I did not, however, push through while having a cold. This layout actually ended up taking me 3 days of probably close to 3 hours, and usually when I do a layout, it takes me around an hour, maybe a little bit longer if I do some mixed media and then like let it dry naturally. But this layout, I just could not make a decision to save my life. So I haven't worked with the Hazelwood collection in a while, so I'm just kind of poking through, seeing what will work, what I have, and so on and so forth. You know, I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna put a little bit of washi tape over the photo because, you know, it's got his name on it in microscopic letters, just in case anyone can read it. Do I notice that the name of his school is on his t-shirt? No, I do not. He's graduating in 3 months. I'm not going to freak out over it. So what I am going to do is mat the photo with these butterflies paper. Butterflies mean change, and I thought that was just metaphoric in paper form. I'm also going to do an L-shaped layout for this particular one. I've got that vertical piece of navy striped chevron-y paper, and then going horizontally, I've got that multicolored arrow paper. That's actually one of my favorite papers um, ever, honestly. I really very much like that, the multicolor arrow one. And then I'm also using that shades of blue plaid as well. Now, part of the line were these cork pieces. Now, I had received partial pack of the cork pieces in my very first wild hair kit when I first bought it like a year or two ago. And then I bought a warehouse box from I can't remember where, and I got another full package of the cork pieces, which is why I have so many of them. So right now I'm just lining up my papers, getting them as straight as I can. I'm using the lines in my mat to kind of make sure that the horizontal pieces are straight, and I kind of eyed the vertical pieces. I do better lining things up vertically than I do horizontally for some reason. Who knows why? So everything's looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and get it down. This part went really quick. With a one photo layout, an L-shaped, or in this case, a reverse L, is definitely a very easy, quick, basic style design to do. It's trying to make my decisions about things coming up that end up taking me forever to get accomplished. So now I've got that in place. I'm going to use the numbers. I always get super excited when I use the numbers because I almost never actually remember to use numbers. So when I actually remember to do it, I get really hyped up about it. So now we're going to start working with our actual spotlight product, which is the stamps. So the first thing I'm doing is I am pulling, and I'm showing you a card I made with the Love Wins stamp set, and that is from the Ink Road. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 3 picture stamps that came in the stamp set, and I'm going to stamp them on multiple pieces of pattern paper. So this is one thing you can do with stamps rather than coloring them in, is just stamp them on pattern paper and you get a different look. And then I'm going to fussy cut all of those out. I am using Chip Sapphire Distress Oxide ink. It's nice because the oxide ink can stamp over darker colors, so you get a good look with the pattern papers. Now, I have a layout underneath my map, that gray map there. I was using it to flatten down because I'd done some mixed media on it and I forgot it was there, and that is what's causing my stamp not to stamp. So I just moved it over and voila, there it is. I'm just doing a second impression, and now I'm good to go with that. I'm going to repeat that with several different, not several, I'm going to flip my paper over, use the back side of this, and then I'm also going to use that houndstooth, and then I'm going to trim all of it out. And I did take a blending brush and did the edges just to help cover up any time I did a little wonky cut and maybe didn't catch the entire stamp line. So I've got those lined up below my layout. Now I'm pulling out several of the sentiment stamps from the Ink Road. I've also, as you can see over on the right, I pulled out my Ellie Studio title stamps. Volume 1 and Volume 2. They also are very good with mixing up with wood veneer and acrylic pieces that Ellie Studio puts out as well. In this particular case, I am just using the stamps. So here's where I stare at stamps for a very long time. I have pulled out the words everything is and the word new, and that's from Volume 2, and then the word today from Volume 1. And I ended up cutting out a whole bunch of it, and now it's the next day. And finally, I just couldn't figure out if I wanted that to be the title or if I wanted something else to be the title. And for those of you who watch me a lot, I tend to get titles pretty quickly. So I ended up just going, you know what, we're just going to put it away and we're going to come back to another day. And I did. And I went ahead and I stamped out another of those hearts because I realized I wanted one up by the title as well as the line below my paper there. So I was cleaning up my stamp positioner with a freckled fawn stamp chamois. And I just want to say that out loud because it works really well also. If you have one of these self-healing mats, it works quite well cleaning up mist off the self-healing mats as well. So I just wanted to point out that little tip in case you happen to have one, a stamp chamois and a self-healing quilting mat, which is what I use as a mat. Okay, I'm lining up my title, adding some magnets so my paper doesn't move. Of course, it's a very sticky one and it did move a little bit because I was lazy and only grabbed 2. I was able to line everything up, but I am going to go ahead and jump ahead. I'm using Festive Berries for part of my title, and then I'm going back to the Chipped Sapphire for the other part. So now, through the magic of editing, we are to our last words. Every day, everything is new today. So as I said, my nephew was changing his name and he was super excited. You can tell it's an actual grin from a teenager. He was super happy to get that letter in the mail. So now that I have my title done, I'm just cleaning off my stamps and putting them away. Otherwise, I lose them. And that is a true story. And oh, okay, I'm like, what am I doing? So I decided rather than pull out enamel dots or Nouveau drops or anything like that for the little scattering I would normally do, I decided to pull off these little star and triangle and diamond shapes that came as part of the Ellie Studio stamp set, and I'm going to use those as a scattering instead. So I'm just lining up all my papers before I make a final decision on whether or not I want to do that with the little mini stamps. So right now what I'm just trying to do is, because I have that big green hexagon up by my title, I didn't want to use the green gingham heart. So instead I put that green gingham heart down at the bottom and chose the blue houndstooth one. And then I could not find my stamp block at all, anywhere. So I had looked for it for a while and I just got so annoyed with myself. I said, never mind. And I was, I was still feeling sick. So I was kind of just like frustrated with myself. So this is the 3rd day. So if you know me, I don't ever do this. I don't like let it go that long because otherwise I just won't do it. So I'm laughing at myself, but I was just like, oi, I cannot believe I'm going to do this. So I've placed those stamps out, but I'm not happy with the way they are now. So what I normally do is just move on to something else. So from the Ink Road stamp set Love Wins, I do stamp out in Festive Berries the words Love Wins along the right hand side there, and then I'm going to also use several of the cork pieces that came in the Hazelwood, I think Hazelwood? I don't remember now what it's called, the One Canoe 2, their first collection. I'm going ahead and gluing down that line of fussy cut stamped items, and I accidentally glued them off with that awkward space right below where the 2 and the 0 is. I will be taking care of that in just a little bit of time. Right now I'm just going ahead and adding liquid glue. I am using the Art Glitter Clear Glue. Art Glitter is the name of the company. It is not glitter glue. It was just, I believe, originally created to use for glitter. I then take another of the hexagons and glue that below the stamp Love Wins, and then I'm adding one of those cork triangles down below just to kind of cover up the fact that there's an awkward space there that isn't in any of the other stamped out pieces. I also add a cork piece above the photo and then the open hexagon above the title. So I'm trying to figure out the best configuration for
these little scattering of stamps, and I finally decided I just needed to take one off because it was bothering me that there were 6. So I'm going to use the chipped sapphire oxide ink once again and just place them in the same configuration. And then I think, ooh, I'll stamp it on the cork because you can stamp on cork with the oxide inks. I add some at the top and then right over that pattern paper, which you probably really can't see, but I felt I needed another set of the stamping going on. All right, now I'm pulling everything off. I'm just making sure to group them all together. I'm going to wait until the end once the layout is done to clean off the rest of those. I'm also adding some of the sentiment stamps from the Love Wins. That one that says at the top where I did in chipped sapphire says I'm so proud of you. The one at the bottom I did in festive berries, which says love equals hearts not parts, or something along those lines. And then this is the final one I'm doing in chipped sapphire, and it says it takes courage to grow up to be who you really are. And I love that saying. I think it's a great phrase. And so I am actually almost done here. I've got one more cork piece, and I'm like, I'm not going to leave some random cork piece left. So I went ahead and created a square with the other white cork piece. So I'm almost done here. I'm just going to finish up with my journaling. And as I said, I'm just talking about how my nephew was super excited to get the letter in the mail, and they had told us it's usually 5 to 6 weeks for a court date, and I guess there was some sort of, cancellation or something because it was actually for the next week. So my companion piece will be at the courthouse. All right, folks, thank you guys so much. Don't forget to go on over and check out Kelly's take on her video for using stamps. Bye, everyone.